President Biden has announced the United States will donate another 500 million coronavirus vaccines to low-income countries in need. Joe Biden described the pandemic as a global tragedy which couldn't be solved with half measures. France will return its ambassador to the United States after a row over a new defense pact between the US, UK and Australia. President Biden and Emmanuel Macron will hold talks in October. Ukraine's president has promised a strong response after one of his top aides survived an apparent assassination attempt. The attack occurred days before a bill to rein in Ukraine's powerful oligarchs is debated in parliament. And lava pouring from a volcano on the Spanish island of La Palma has damaged hundreds of homes as it heads towards the coast.
In Washington, D.C., British Prime Minister Boris Johnson says he is sure of a trade deal with the U.S. after meeting with President Joe Biden. In China, property company China Evergrande Group says it will make a $4 billion interest payment, calming investors about its high debt. In Japan, Defense Minister Nobuo Kishi welcomes British defense official Jeremy Quinn as part of a new security partnership with America, Australia, and Britain. And in Burundi, the Prime Minister says 2 people died and 50 were injured in an attack by unidentified terrorists.
Taiwan has officially applied to join the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership, or CPTPP, according to the Central News Agency. The deal, formerly known as the TPP, currently has 11 member countries. They have a combined population of about 500 million. Their total GDP is more than $11 trillion. That's 13% of the world's total. Participating nations have streamlined rules on trade and investment. They have agreed to reduce or remove tariffs on most industrial and agricultural products. China announced on Thursday that it had applied to join the trade pact. Here in Japan, the government is looking at whether to lift or extend the coronavirus state of emergency. The declaration covers 19 prefectures, including Tokyo and Osaka, and is set to expire next Thursday. Infection rates are dropping in most of those prefectures. Tokyo confirmed 537 cases on Wednesday. That's the 7th day in a row the count was below the 1,000 mark. But the capital's healthcare system is still under strain. At least 50% of beds for patients with grave symptoms are occupied. The government will spend the next few days consulting with experts and prefectural leaders. Some governors have already come out in favor of lifting the measures.
As long as the situation keeps improving, I expect the declaration to be lifted on the 30th.
I hope the declaration will be lifted at the end of the month, and that's what I'm expecting.
The government is expected to make the decision by Tuesday at the earliest. Tokyo Electric Power Company says a lack of understanding and risk awareness was to blame for breaches of anti-terrorism measures at one of its nuclear plants, and its outlined measures to ensure there's no repeat. TEPCO submitted a report on Wednesday to Japan's nuclear regulator. The company is hoping to win permission to restart its Kashiwazaki Kariwa plant in Niigata Prefecture. The report explained malfunctions in sensors designed to detect intruders and an incident last September that saw an employee gain improper access to the central control room. Japan's nuclear regulator in April banned TEPCO from moving or loading nuclear fuel at the plant. The firm said staff at the Nuclear Power Division had a low awareness of nuclear security and weren't cautious enough about protecting nuclear materials. TEPCO says senior officials will get more involved in operations at the nuclear plants, and it promised to revamp its communication channels swiftly. The company says it will replace the head of the plant and the nuclear division. President Kobayakawa Tomoaki will have his pay cut by 30% for 3 months. Chairman Kobayashi Yoshimitsu told reporters he understands the need for change.
If we don't take corrective measures, people will think we are not qualified to engage in the nuclear power business. We will proceed with determination as we consider this to be our last chance.
The plant is to remain offline at least until the regulator determines that the utility has addressed the problems. A court in Japan has ordered the country's government to pay damages to 2 Sri Lankan men who said they were deported without being given time to file a lawsuit. They said their right to a fair trial had been violated. The plaintiffs in their 40s and 50s had been staying in Japan. According to their lawyers, they had filed objections with the Tokyo Immigration Bureau after being denied refugee status. In 2014, they were notified that their objections had been dismissed and deported just half a day later. The plaintiffs sued the government, saying they were not given time to file a suit against the decision of the immigration authorities. Their lawyers provided footage, which they say was filmed right after the Immigration Bureau informed the men of its decision to reject their objections.
The footage shows the men saying their lives will be put at risk if they are deported, and expressing their intentions to file a lawsuit.
In the Tokyo High Court ruling on Wednesday, the presiding judge said the immigration officials deliberately delayed notifying the men of their decision in order to carry out the deportation smoothly. He said this violated the men's rights to a fair trial as guaranteed by the Constitution, and the act was illegal. The judge ordered the Japanese government to pay about $5,500 in damages to the plaintiffs. The lawyers said the court's decision that the authorities' act was unconstitutional is very significant. Farmers who used to live near the crippled nuclear plant in Fukushima have enjoyed their first rice harvest in 11 years. All residents of Futaba town remain in evacuation since the March 2011 nuclear accident. Parts of the town aim to have the evacuation order lifted next spring. Farmers from those areas occasionally visited their homeland and grew rice plants on a trial basis this year. The REAP plants are to be tested for radioactive substances before being disposed of.
Harvesting rice for the first time in 11 years made me very emotional. I hope to continue doing this every year.
If the substances levels meet the government's safety standards, officials and farmers plan to expand the experiment next year. They say they will aim to resume full-scale rice farming by 2025. It's been an active Wednesday weather-wise in parts of Japan, but cooler, calmer conditions are on the way. Our meteorologist Jonathan Oh has a look at the forecast in world weather.
Hello, a cold front is making its way across Japan, and associated with that front, heavier rain here. Looking at the radar over the past 24 hours and along the Sea of Japan side of the nation, we are seeing some of those heavier downpours taking place. We are looking at rain to continue as we go through overnight hours, and the low will be moving through the northern areas of Japan, and that's going to bring a chance for some rain to places like Hokkaido as we go through Thursday. And then look at the temperature drop as we go into Friday for Sapporo and Tokyo, going from mid-20s to teens on Friday in Sapporo and Tokyo, looking at temperatures into the mid-20s by Saturday. So that cold front will be having an effect on the eastern areas of Japan. Meanwhile, as we broaden out the view, low pressure bringing some unstable weather into the central areas of China, so that's going to bring some rain to Chongqing, thunderstorms down toward Hong Kong. Beijing also looking at thunderstorms with a high of 27 coming up on Thursday. Eastern areas of the United States need to look out for a cold front that's marching across with this front moving through. Ohio River Valley looking at strong to even severe thunderstorms as we go through the day on Wednesday. We're going to Thursday. That focal point moves toward the east as a place like D.C. and New York looking at some rain as we go through Thursday. That's a look at your forecast. Hope you have a good day wherever you are.